Hey everyone, welcome back to the news, and yeah, Fortnite. It seems like Fortnite makes its way into just about everything these days, and while it's normally all a bit of a laugh, today we're dealing with people running money laundering operations. Yes, money laundering. But there's actually a lot more to that, because sure, the story itself is fine, but the thing that really matters is what is going on behind the headline, behind the story. Now, as for the core story itself, I mean, hey, markets are very interesting to me, especially when they naturally arise through something like this. Now, this story about money laundering all kicked off through a collaboration between The Independent and a cybersecurity firm called 6jill. And while the money laundering is certainly interesting, as always, we need to examine the incentives on everyone who is involved. And as we go on, I'll reveal why really this is somewhat expected and really what 6jill, the company behind this report, are really getting from it. So, if you're one of the lucky few who is not in the know, yeah, Fortnite's currency is the humble V-Buck. It is used to purchase in-game things like their seasonal passes and their cosmetic customizations. Normally, it would just be a regular game currency, but there is something that makes it a little bit different. Fortnite's basically on top of the world. It is hard to overstate the popularity of Epic's accidental success. Remember that Fortnite was actually a pretty mediocre title that just happened to later on bolt on a Battle Royale mode that happened to do extremely well, of course, based on the success of PUBG. Well, its accessibility, faster pace, and early mobile edition led to market dominance with the more casual crowd, and this has led to the V-Buck being one of the largest virtual currencies really of the day. Now, the thing with V-Bucks, of course, is you can't cash them out. You can't turn them back into real-world currency. So you might be wondering then, how do you actually get V-Bucks? How does it all work? And how is this a money laundering scam? Well, other than directly purchasing through Epic or through promotions, there's really nothing. So how do you get your hands on V-Bucks for under the market price set by Epic? And the answer is stolen credit cards, the utter scourge of many parts of the gaming industry. I mean, seriously, money laundering through stolen credit cards is like one of the larger problems that we face, especially for indie developers, many of whom have been nearly destroyed through credit card scams. So here's what actually happens. You get a list of stolen credit cards, usually through dark web like stuff. Then you purchase V-Buck codes with them. Then, again on the dark web, you sell those V-Bucks at below market value. Now, the sheer scale of credit card fraud, if you actually found out about it, might be surprising to you, especially if you're someone who runs a decently secure setup. But essentially what happens is somebody with stolen cards, a big list of them, just buys loads of V-Buck, vouchers, whatever, and just sells them, getting Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash in the process, of course, with those being pretty tricky for law enforcement to track. Now, in doing so, they're able to clean that money. People buy the V-Bucks either for personal use or to, sell on elsewhere, closer to market value. Now, 6jill go on to accuse Epic Games of not caring about this, being happy to make money off the stolen V-Bucks. Now, I would assume this meant that the credit card companies were like, partially eating the cost of some of this stuff and not Epic. Of course, Epic denies this, but it does make you wonder. Surely V-Bucks are traceable with V-Buck codes also being traceable, meaning that the code linked to an account or, linked to, say, a stolen credit card could be marked as stolen and therefore be invalidated. That would happen if maybe the credit card company attempted a chargeback. Now, I'm not exactly sure how all of the financial backend works here, but I do know that there's stuff in place for that whole stolen credit card situation. Now, I teased the largest layer to this story, and it's pretty simple. 6jill are a cybersecurity firm whose product is dark web intelligence. That's what they sell. Now, when we look at the incentives and all that, they're not going to make money from this Fortnite situation, directly, and they don't have a platform that anyone really pays attention to. They're not really that well known. So what do the Independent want, the people who ran this story? Well, they want to run a story about Fortnite. Like, probably with this video, they have a big headline, and they sure did get it, insinuating that kids were unknowingly helping criminals launder money. So what do the Independent have that 6jill don't? A platform. How do both sides get paid? Well, 6jill needs to sell their company's product to people who are concerned about dark web scams and to be more, notorious, be known more, and the Independent needs clicks. Put these things together, we have a natural collaboration where 6jill gets a massive spotlight for themselves and their software. And guess what happens if you go to 6jill's website? Fortnite, headlines. So, as much as there is a story here about the credit card scams and about the Fortnite money laundering, it's always worth knowing why these articles appear in the first place, because this is not at all special. Sure, it's being done with V-Bucks, but you could easily do it with Battle.net gift cards. You know, stolen credit card, buy some BNet gift cards, sell them for Bitcoin. Now, it could be that Blizz's security is a bit tighter, and of course also V-Bucks are just a lot more popular, which probably would make them a more lucrative market, perhaps with Epic Games struggling with the massive size of the game, and maybe that makes them somewhat less able to respond to a situation like this. I mean, hell, this is not too different from some of the WoW gold scams that were ran off, sometimes, you know, hacked accounts, stolen credit cards, all that stuff. And those things really operate in the same way, being able to launder dirty money. These are all large companies, but the people who can really get hurt with this, though, are actually indies, especially when you have the likes of G2A and similar groups who are pretty unscrupulous with the stuff that they sell. A big example of this came in 2016, whenever TinyBuild had thousands of copies of their games purchased from their store with stolen credit cards. They got nuked with chargebacks, and the game codes quickly appeared in G2A.com, leading to a lot of lost money. Now, this is part of the reason why many developers actually don't run their own stores anymore. They typically prefer to go with a larger storefront, with the likes of Valve or maybe Epic with the Epic Store being able to offer more protection against that sort of thing. So really, this is a multi-pronged story. If it was purely just Fortnite news, I wouldn't cover it. I don't care. I really don't. I don't play Fortnite. I think I've downloaded it, but I have not even, I actually haven't even installed it. The goal with this video is to try to explain why some headlines exist and to explain the incentives behind those headlines, because you really need to just, it's a bit like following the money, but I mean, whenever I do a video, you've got to look at my incentives. Whenever, you know, Jim or Young Ya or the other people who do these videos, or heel versus babyface or quartering, or even when the more traditional journalist types like Jason Schreier, Kotaku, Polygon, etc., whenever they do a story, you always got to think behind the headline and kind of think, what are the incentives of the people who are making this? What do they stand to benefit? How does that change their coverage? Now, in this case, it just so happens that Sixgill, they just need more notoriety for their dark web monitoring platform. The Independent needs some more clicks. And as we've seen with a lot of mainstream media, anything about Fortnite in a negative light seems to do well. We've had a slew of programs, news specials, articles, all these things slamming Fortnite for, you know, I guess being a good game that people enjoy, combined with disastrously bad parenting. But yeah, that's my main point here. It's all about thinking behind the headline and what's really going on, because while this whole big Fortnite thing did a round of the news, guess what? It's kind of a nothing burger. You know, you could publish a headline saying the sky is blue, water is wet, credit card scams exist, and yes, people are still laundering money with it. That's really all that happens. So there you go. That's my take on this whole issue. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.